Everyone, this is John Gravina. Welcome to Soul Science, episode 12. And today we have a public service announcement. Euthanasia is not mental health care. Very sad story that's just been all over the newspapers, coming from the Netherlands. You see the very pretty young lady up on the screen here, Zoraya Beek, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, 28 years old, expects to be euthanized in early May. The title of this article that I got from the Free Press, I'm 28 and I'm scheduled to die. Very sad story. Let me give you read to you some highlights from the article at the Free Press, and you can go see the article yourself. I've got the link up on the screen here. Okay, this is about Zoraya. She said she was hobbled by her depression and autism and borderline personality disorder. Now she was tired of living. Despite, she said, being in love with her boyfriend, a 40-year-old IT programmer, and living in a nice house with their 2 cats. She recalled her psychiatrist telling her that they had tried everything, that there's nothing more we can do for you. It's never going to get any better. At that point, she said, she decided to die. I was always very clear that if it doesn't get better, I can't do this anymore. Just heartbreaking. And, and this is what people have really been commenting on, the hopelessness coming from the psychiatrist. There's nothing more we can do for you. Just absolutely terrible and heartbreaking. And, if you've been following soul science, you know that I certainly disagree with that, and that I certainly believe that Christianity has a better answer for Zoraya and people who are in a similar situation. And this is what it is, what you see on the screen here. Go to church. And that sounds dogmatic. I know it sounds dogmatic, but if you've been following soul science, you know that this is actually a research-based answer. Okay? This is not, I'm not a priest, and I'm not giving a priest's answer. I'm actually, this is actually the topic that I covered in episode 1 of Soul Science. And the title of that podcast was, Should Doctors Prescribe Religion for Mental Health? And I got that title not from a Catholic priest, not from any kind of a priest or minister at all. The title I stole from an epidemiologist at the Harvard School of Public Health by the name of Dr. Tyler Vanderweel. It was a question that he raised quite provocatively when he gave a lecture over the summer at the National Institute for Health. And he was talking about his research at Harvard University, which established this connection between church attendance and improved mental health. And he raised the question provocatively. He said the research is so strong, it raises the question, a Harvard researcher saying, should we start prescribing religion for mental health? And I would say in the case of Zoraya, well, your psychiatrist has given up. Why not give it a shot, right? They've given up in the Netherlands. It's just absolutely tragic. And so if you look up on the screen here, you can see this is the where I was getting my research from. So it's a screenshot of an article that was published in Christianity Today back in October of 2021. And the author of this article, you see, it's in tiny print, if you can see it on the screen, Tyler J. Vanderweel is actually the lead researcher of this Harvard research at the School of Public Health. And below the screenshot, I have the URL link to the original academic paper that was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association back in 2016. Okay. Very rigorous research, highly cited all over the place and much talked about. It's been all over the place. He's been interviewed by everyone. His research has been discussed all in news media all over the world, as far as I know. But like I said, although he, is interviewed in popular magazines like Christianity Today and USA Today and a bunch of other places, Los Angeles Times, other places like that, it's based on rigorous academic research at the Harvard School of Public Health. And as I said, their original research was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. You can go check out the URL link right there. This quote is not from the JAMA article, but this is from Christianity Today. Okay, very relevant to Zoraya's case that we're talking about. Our own research indicates the declining religious service attendance, you can follow along on the screen, the declining religious service attendance accounts for about 40% of the rise in suicide rates over the past 15 years. If the declines in attendance could have been prevented, how many lives could have been saved? This is Tyler Vanderweel's own words in Christianity Today, and you can clearly see that the lead researcher at Harvard, who's a mathematician, right, and has written books on causation and how to establish causation. He's literally written a book on causation. Is speaking here about a causal link between church attendance and a reduced risk for suicide. So it's not me saying it. It's not a Catholic priest saying it. It's not a Protestant minister saying it. This is an epidemiologist from the Harvard School of Public Research saying this is what his research shows. And if you saw episode 1, if you haven't seen it, go back and take a look at it. You can find it on Rumble, on my Soul Science page over at Rumble. You can find it over at Pathos, where my blog is, the Soul Science blog. You can see that this was a very rigorous study. This was considered a very highly reliable study because it's longitudinal. Longitudinal is important because it helps to establish causation, because it establishes the order of events. I've gotten into this in the com box over at my blog where people have challenged this, and I've pointed out to them that actually this is much stronger than mere cross-sectional research because it's longitudinal. And so it helps to establish causation and rule out things like reverse causation. But I'm not trying to get into all of that right now. I'm trying to talk about how this important research can help save lives, and it could help save Zoraya's life if somebody could get this information out to her, right? I think it's so important for people to understand who, people might not be very religious. It's important for them to hear that it isn't just religious people saying this. This isn't, demagoguery. It's not merely evangelization. I mean, this is actual rigorous scientific research. And so, the question I'm asking here is, look at this young, beautiful face. I mean, with so much life and so much promise. And, the question is, can this research help her? Can this research help us to understand Zoraya? Can it help Zoraya to help her to understand her own case? And could it possibly help Zoraya's clueless psychiatrist, who obviously, needs a little bit more, needs to maybe possibly go back to school or something. So let's talk about the Netherlands for a second. So as I said, the Harvard research shows that declining church attendance is associated with rising suicide rates. So it's worthwhile to ask the question, what is religious participation like in the Netherlands? And so I got my research straight from the Netherlands, but actually the research is very well known. I've read most of the New Atheists, and going back quite a few years ago, Sam Harris praised the Netherlands for being one of the most secular countries in the world. And also, he praised them for being one of the, most prosperous and flourishing countries. And he was saying it's not a coincidence. And I called him out in my book for his very narrow understanding of what human flourishing is, because he only measured educational attainment and income. He didn't look at mental health. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's first talk about religious affiliation. So according to the Bureau of Statistics in the Netherlands, and this research, this article from the Bureau of Statistics over there was published in 2022. So this is very current research. 6 in 10 Dutch people have no religious affiliation. Okay, I mean, I think that's more than double the rate of religious disaffiliation here in the United States of America. So we can see that we've got low religious participation, low church attendance in the Netherlands. Okay, and so the question is, does the Netherlands confirm Harvard's research with respect to mental health? If it does, then we should see high rates of mental illness and disorder in the Netherlands. And so up on the screen here, you can see, unfortunately, a blurry graphic that comes from the Journal of the American Medical Association. I used this research in my first book, The Immoral Landscape of the New Atheism. I also used it in my lecture at Duke Medical School. This is a 2004 study that was conducted by Harvard in conjunction with the World Health Organization, and it was a ranking of 14 countries that they studied in terms of their mental health. This study went viral in the news media world because of what it's not because I'm going to talk about what it says about the Netherlands, but it had nothing to do with the Netherlands. It was all about the United States, because the United States, according to the study, was far and away the most mentally ill country in the world, at least out of these 14 countries. And it explains, I discuss a book in my first book, The Immoral Landscape of the New Atheism, called American Mania. This book right here by Dr. Peter Wybrow, a UCLA neuroscientist. It would not surprise him. I mean, this is such an important book. It doesn't have a single verse of Bible scripture in it at all. This is just cold, hard data, right, about the United States. And American Mania, if you want to know, if you haven't read my first book, it's the name he gives to a mental illness. So he thinks that this mental illness is so synonymous with American culture that he actually named it after us. So quite some distinction there. But anyway, so the graph that you see here is a summary of this research from 2004 study, Harvard University and World Health Organization, ranking 14 countries in terms of their mental health. And people were just shocked about what it said about the United States of America. But here's what it showed about Netherlands. Netherlands was the 4th most oppressed country in the study. Okay? 4th most oppressed country, and this is why I called out Sam Harris, saying, look, there's a lot of research. In fact, he also praised France, and he also praised Japan. Japan has one of the worst suicide rates anywhere. So actually, Sam Harris unwittingly confirmed the Harvard School of Public Health's research by calling out all of these countries that are so secular. And he praised them for being secular and overlooked their terrible mental illness record. But what he did was he confirmed this really strong correlation between low religiosity and high levels of mental illness, depression, and suicide. So I've got a screenshot of a post over on Twitter X from a Dutch journalist who's covering Zoraya's story. She's an excellent journalist, this young lady here, who recently converted to Catholicism. And I'm just going to summarize, the bullet points are highlights of what Eva has to say. In 2021, she writes, 115 people were euthanized for psychological suffering in the Netherlands. Okay, this is just shocking. 14 of those people were under the age of 30. Okay, and I'll read to you a little bit of what Eva writes on her post here. It says, the fact that this is legal deeply reveals who our leaders are and what they want. I completely agree. It's shocking that this is even legal. Anyway, I want to move on, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you a picture of the state of mental health in the Netherlands. Back in 2004, there were already signs that things were not rosy in the Netherlands. But by 2021, the mental health profession in the Netherlands had given up. It's very clear that they've given up on mental health care there, and they're just simply killing people now who are depressed. It's tragic and it's immoral. This is just it's outrageous, right? But you saw their numbers. Oh my goodness, I forgot to mention something here. Let's go back to that. Okay, you saw this already. I just read the title of the article. Take a look at the picture. Take a look at that photograph. That is a church. That is a former church, and it looks from the altar that it looks like there's a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary. This is most certainly a Catholic church that's been gutted and turned into a gym. Okay? Obviously, by the way, there's plenty of research out there that shows that physical exercise is very good for mental health. Obviously, not good enough for the Netherlands, right? If they're converting their churches into gyms, the state of mental health there shows that it's not doing very well. So let's get caught up here. Okay, we already did that. I think this is where we left off. And so as I've been implying this whole time, the Netherlands is one more instance of a very consistent global pattern that I discussed. I discussed in my Duke Medical School lecture. I discussed it in my book. A very consistent pattern. Multiple studies reveal that the most secular countries in the world are also the most mentally ill. It's a very consistent pattern. And it's what the Harvard School of Public Health revealed about the United States. That that low church attendance was very strongly correlated with an increased risk for mental illness and for suicide. So you've got the Netherlands confirming this, you've got Japan confirming this, you've got the United States confirming this. Many countries show this, and I've shown that it's not just a single study, it's multiple independent studies confirm this very strong correlation. Okay, so the implication here is that people who leave Christianity struggle to find meaning, love, purpose, and happiness in life. Things that make people happy, things that give meaning and purpose to people's lives. People abandon Christianity and they struggle to find these things. And so it raises a question whether Christianity possesses some secret ingredient, a spiritual ingredient possibly, that's actually necessary for living a full and complete human life. As I say here, necessary for joy, for love, and for a meaningful life. The second implication is that, when you think about that question, are we seeing evidence that points to possibly the existence of an irreducibly spiritual dimension to the mind? Evidence of a soul, perhaps.